You
Yeah,
know, I
they
mean,
were
that's
so good. And it was cool because when it was their off night from being one of the leads, they were in the ensemble. So they basically
okay.
learned the whole musical because they had choreo
Yeah.
and songs to learn for when they were ensemble, and then they had all their lines and everything when they were the leads. So it was just really impressive. They just it was a really good show. I've
That's
never
awesome.
seen Anastasia. I don't think I ever watched the movie of it either, like the Disney movie.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, I loved it growing up.
Oh, really?
That was one of my favorites.
Similar, I
I
think.
never have.
But it's like that age old, like, did Anastasia Romanoff really die with the rest of her family, or did she survive? There was a lot of rumors and legends of that she lived, but did she? I don't know. So this was like, what if she did?
Interesting.
So, yeah, it was really fun. The girls were so exhausted. My friend has 3 daughters, like 11th grade, 9th grade, and 5th grade. So the 5th grader was like the only kid in the play, and she was young Anastasia. And then her sister was like grown up Anastasia. So it was really cool that they were both
so cool.
the same person in the play. But hi, everyone. We're here ready to talk about the rest of Defiant Joy.
Yes.
And welcome. I'm glad that you are here, all 9 of you. Glad you're here. Thanks for being flexible with the time. Chloe literally walked off sprints with Becca for mini deck of TBR-thon like seconds ago.
Yep. There's been a lot of lives today.
Hopped off one and hopped onto another. And then I'm going to be doing sprints at 8. So right after we're done, pretty much. Or with a little break in between to grab some dinner. But so as you guys introduce yourself for one final time.
Yeah.
Because chapter 9 talks a lot about remembering. There's a lot of nature in chapter 9. So I thought it would be fun. A lot of talk about the seasons. So as you introduce yourself in your channel, what is your favorite season and what do you love about it? And in the comments too, feel free to share what's your favorite season and what do you love about it? So Chloe, we'll go with you first today.
Okay, cool. I'm Chloe. My channel name's Always Booked. And today I would say my favorite season, I've always been a summer gal, but I think as I'm getting older, it's shifting and it's fall because the weather is moderate and there's so much fun stuff to do. And it's like the excitement and anticipation of all the holiday season. And yeah, so definitely. And I mean, the colors are gorgeous and I think it's fall.
Nice.
And I'm Jess, Pages and Grace. I would have to say, right now it's spring. I think I'm always the next season is always my favorite.
Yeah.
When I'm in one season, moving to the next one. But I do especially love spring after winter, especially the winter we've had this year. It has been nonstop. Today we've had our first 50-degree day and it is just glorious outside. The window is open over here.
My kids are outside acting like it's summer because it's in the 50s.
We went outside. All 3 boys took them outside today and just pretend like it was summer for a little bit. But we always sort of garden in the spring. So that's really one of my favorite times to see everything starting over.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm always a fall favorite. But then every year when spring comes, I'm like, but am I a favorite? Like, but is spring my favorite? Every year. Because once things just start like budding on trees and once flowering plants start here in where I live in Virginia, we have flowering bushes and trees all the way through to fall. So once stuff starts flowering, usually it's like the cherry trees are not first. I think azaleas might be first. I forget what's first. But whatever comes first, and then from there, we have different things that just flower all the way through until it's too cold, till it's winter almost.
When does that start for you? Like, how much longer do you have?
I remember not this year, but I have called my mom before in February and told her the daffodils are out.
Oh my goodness.
Really?
In February. So it's soon, like couple weeks. Like we're still pretty, I haven't checked the weather in a couple days, but we're still pretty cold right now, but it's coming. It's coming soon.
Amen.
Oh yeah. It's this week, 63, 63, 67. Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
switching.
In the Midwest, I don't love spring because it's very untrustworthy. It
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
like I really loathe the 70-degree days followed by 30-degree days.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
The back and forth really toys with me.
Oh, yeah. We had that a couple weeks ago. It was like 60 one day and then 40 and then 60 and then 40. Like, no
Mhm.
wonder everyone is sick the
Yeah.
next
I know
week
your body's
everybody's
like,
sick.
what am I supposed to do here?
No wonder. All right. Well, let's just hop right in because this is our last little session. So as always, we'll just go through 9, 10, 11, and 12 and talk about things that stood out to us, what we liked about it, and then we'll kind of give our final, like, what will you rate it? I haven't decided that because I literally finished like minutes ago.
I finished it over nap time today, so
Nice.
I'm
I
with you.
finished it on like Monday or Tuesday, which
Okay.
I'm like, gosh, I wish I wouldn't have done that because now I don't remember like as much.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. So Amanda's a folly. Mercedes loves summer, but then more and more fall as she gets older, ready for the warm up. But we have fake spring. Yeah.
Yes.
We do get like those few days of really warm and then it'll get cold again. We'd get a little bit of that too. Love spring, new beginnings, daffodils blooming already. Oh, I love it. Veronica, where are you? Like, what part of the country? Amanda really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars. Nice. All right, cool. So chapter 9 does talk a lot about nature, a lot about the seasons, a lot about remembering. And I love, yeah. I mean, all over in scripture, God tells us to remember in lots of different ways. Remember
Well,
this.
and I really related on 138 and 139, just talking all about endings, and I hate endings, she said I can't possibly be keenly aware of all the beauty around me at all times. My soul isn't large enough or attuned enough yet to take it all in. I love that. But she says I can look forward with hope while I also hold sadness in my heart that this time has come to an end. And the truth remains, I hate endings. Everything good will come to an end. Endings are hard. They mark the close of a season, but they also mark beginnings. I feel like as a parent, that this like spoke to me because my kids, like as they grow up, we end chapters. We end, like my oldest is about to lose her front teeth, and like just that whole her look is going to change so much. And I mean, we're coming to the end of chapters for certain things, and I hate it, but I also love it because it's a new beginning.
Right. Oh, I saw this so much. The play that I just went to go see with my friend's daughter, she was sobbing. Like even at the curtain call, she just couldn't. She just loved her role so much, and she worked so hard for so long.
Yeah.
And this was her last, because she did Thursday night and Saturday night. So it was her last time being the lead in this show. So she was so happy and proud. I'm crying because she was crying so much, and it was just so precious because she was so happy and she knew she had done a really good job.
Yeah.
She had worked really hard, but she was also sad because it was over. All this she had been working for. And it was that like duality, like not duality, paradox of like being so able to contain that joy and that sorrow at the same time. Yeah. Kind of like what you were saying, like at each stage, there's always things that are changing and growing, and you're happy and excited for what's coming, but also like, oh,
yeah, right. Yeah, and I feel that way about everything. Like all endings are just so bittersweet.
Yep.
And like, gosh, did I make the most of these days? I wondered, did I drink in all the beauty I could? Did I get all the goodness from it that was available to me? Did I waste it? Like, I spiral about that all the time. Like, when you think about every stage, did we do the most with it?
I really love that part where she was reflecting. Did I do what I needed to do, or did I soak it all in? For my life, it really, so about a year and a half ago, we took in the twins. We have They're now 3-year-old twin boys. And life was survival mode at first. You know, it's just you keep going. My husband works a job where he has to travel a lot throughout the week. And this year, one of my goals has been, okay, we're not just surviving the week. We're going
Yes.
to do at least one thing a day to enjoy it and to make sure that we're soaking in everything. Because, like you said, these seasons are so short.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, like Amanda's talking about presence, just a reminder to be present to whatever season you're in. And I mean, you think about like Ecclesiastes and it's all just there's a season for everything. And yeah, they're bittersweet.
I love that, Jess, the idea of like that intentionality in not just surviving, but finding those moments to just, and I think of like when we read Hind's Feet in High Places, but also oftentimes they would stop and build an altar to remember like this is something that God has saved us from or rescued us from. And in Hind's Feet, she often would pick up a stone and she just carried a stone with her from the different things that it's just that moment to stop and just doing that tangible thing helps seal it in our brains a little bit more. So just that intentionality of stopping and we're going to do something today that's just for fun and that's just something that we'll remember that. And I love that intentionality there instead of just letting life happen every day. And sometimes that is just you just have to get through and we're all alive and well at the end of the day. And that's sometimes has to be okay. But sometimes
when those ice storms come through, man, it is stuck inside. Today
I don't
was
want
such
to
a
talk about it
blessing.
yet. Still too fresh. But yeah, and like I even think about like taking pictures, taking videos of things and like documenting life a little bit instead of just having your head down. Yeah, because it's easy to get in survival mode and not thriving mode.
Yeah.
But then also like she's talking about remembering God in page 140, he's been generous and kind and good in the past. Won't he remain so in the future? Yes, he will. The time we spend remembering who he is, what he's like, and what he's done breathes life into our souls. And yeah, just thinking about that, especially in times of suffering and sorrow, like she's talked about a lot, is helpful.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You say you will read to me while you can switch.
I must have been in it in this first half because I had nothing underlined.
Oh yeah.
Like I must have just been soaking it in. I don't know.
She said, did you know the average American spends 93% of his or her life indoors? That surprised me.
Wow.
But I mean, it makes sense.
That's crazy.
It's a lot. Yeah.
When I think about how much improved my day is when I just get outside for a few minutes.
And like how this week I have literally spiraled because we haven't been outside. Like
yeah.
Aside from today, it's been awful. And like my mental health just like
Plummet.
it's amazing what going outside will do.
Yeah. And have you ever like had a moment when you've been outside? I mean, there's so many things in nature that it's like a breath of fresh air and it's just remembering like it happened to me last week. I was driving, where was I? On Thursday night, right before Valentine's. I was driving to that Galentine's event at a local bookstore and the sunset was just stunning. And I feel like I haven't been out and about during sunsets recently or something. It's been a while since I've seen one. And it was so gorgeous. There was like people pulled over on the side of the road to take pictures at different points. Like I crossed a bridge over a river, and so people were pulled over on the bridge to take pictures, and everyone was just it was just really cool. Like everyone is noticing because it's so huge and so gorgeous. I'm like, there's so many times though that I can remember and point to that I was just going on a walk and I'm like, oh God, you're so good. Like it's just such a good fresh reminder of his goodness to just see a beautiful sunset or a little tiny flower in the middle of winter or any like so many different things that I love going on walks with kids because their wonder of simple things helps my wonder to be there too. Like, yeah, look how cool that leaf is. It's so cool.
I love it.
Oh yeah. And
and she talks about like all that has ever stirred your heart. That was God romancing you, like from and all of this is the love of God wooing you, and that's just so cool to think of it that way. Like so much beauty, just simple beauty is God's way of romancing you.
Mm-hmm. There's signs that point us to the expansive, immeasurably good heart of God. We must look for them and remember. I love it. Marinate our hearts in them. I loved that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
When you marinate meat, you just like, or veggies or whatever, you just like sit it in the marinade, right? Like,
yeah, you just
there.
stew it. Mm-hmm.
I love where she wrote natural beauty is more than a balm. It is a testament.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so every day. So where we live now, we have a sunrise view every morning. And not every morning, it's cloudy sometimes, but I go outside and take the dog out or something and I'm just hit with it. And that has been such a reminder on those days. It is so good.
Yeah.
Every day. A new start and a new promise.
I love this on page 145. Yeah. We're surrounded by the signs of the resurrection with every sunrise and every spring that comes our way. Yeah.
I laughed out loud on page 148 when she said, my husband's lying on the couch now resting. It's been a full day of physical labor following months of equally hard days, filled with spiritual, mental, and emotional labor. This would qualify as his third nap today if I were counting, which I am. That's funny. That's funny. But like, yeah, your life's feeling like winter. And I feel like, I mean, for me personally, with not getting outside and with the weather being bad, it's so easy to like let your heart kind of get cold and weary as well.
Yeah. But I love that. I mean, she says 149 to remember in every season, there's a unique beauty in the presence of God is within it. Nature speaks of the signs, pain in life is a sign, celebration is signs, and then down there is death, but after death there's life. There's winter, but after winter there's spring. There's the crucifixion, but after the crucifixion there's the resurrection. Our God has gone before us into all things.
Mm-hmm.
So those seasons, some seasons, I mean, we like some seasons better than others, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously in life, in the world, the seasons that we experience, but also in our lives, there's different seasons, and some we like better than others,
yeah.
But in all of it, it's all part of the process, and there is beauty to be found in each of those seasons if we look for it.
And you have a faithful companion who goes before you and behind you, who promises to never leave or forsake you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. He's with you in all the seasons, even the dreary, cold, gray ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So say yes to the next season. Speak it out loud. Mm-hmm. Yes to the new. Yes to believing that God is good and has good in store. Yes to letting my sorrow and endings deepen my soul's dependence on him. Yes to Jesus.
Yeah, I definitely feel like fall can be daunting because winter's coming and like in not having that attitude.
Mm-hmm. And that brings us right to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 10, Cultivating Joy. I love the quote at the beginning, joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day. I love that. It's not just going to happen. Like, not just wake up. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, right.
That's one of those quotes to like put up on the bathroom mirror or something every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice you're making.
Mm-hmm. And I loved the like the pairing of hope and joy. I mean, she's kind of talked about it before, but there's a lot in this chapter. I think there's a lot in this chapter about hope and joy together, and how hope paves the way for joy in a way, like makes it possible for us to choose joy, not find joy, but choose it because of that hope. Hope is the nutrient-rich soil in which joy flourishes. Without hope, there's no joy, and joy nourishes our hope. They kind of go hand in hand. It is the fertilizer that helps us to cultivate ecstatic blooms.
I like when she's talking about on the next 156, in order for our hearts to trust hope, we need to know that a promise will be kept. And our daily relational experiences have taught us the opposite, that on earth here, people are not always trustworthy, and there's a lot of broken promises and people we can't trust. And to wrap our brains around the fact that God is not like any human we know, and that hope put in him is the only way to not fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I loved, Amanda refers to it here, how she says we choose our hard, and essentially what we do with that, either joy or weariness. But I loved, like, on 154, she goes through a whole different scenario, a whole bunch of different scenarios. Like, it's hard to be kind to people who are mean to us, but it's also hard to be convicted later of being unloving. It's hard to do this, but it's also hard if we choose the other way. There's, like, we do get to choose our hard, and on one end, we get that hope-filled joy with the choice that we make, even though it was hard. On the other end, it's conviction, weariness, despair, like regret. So it's all hard, but you get to choose what kind of hard you want to deal with and what the outcome you want is out of it. And how we know there will be hard days, but the hard is to follow Christ where he leads, and that leads to life and joy. Absolutely. Yep, God's ways are higher than ours, and thank God for that. Right? I liked, as she kind of talks about, she continues about hope for a bit, but then talks about sadness and grief, and how sometimes we hold on to that, or we like stuff it down and not feel it. But when we actually stop and allow space for those feelings, we then can move forward from it quicker than if we tend to hold on to it. It just kind of festers and lives there for longer. But she says our feelings have a lifespan. When we allow ourselves to fully feel our grief, to embrace it rather than shun it, the feeling of relief and release comes much more quickly than we could imagine. The wave shrinks. We are buoyed by it, and the sea calms. So it's just a season, but it might come and go. But if we allow space to feel those things, and I feel like I've experienced that too. When I allow myself space to feel things, then I can receive comfort or feel the peace afterwards, or just kind of get it out of my system, and I'm able to move forward easier than if I'm kind of holding on to it. And then I slowly shut down more and more until it eventually boils over at some point. But giving it that space sometimes frees me up to receive the peace and the release from it.
Well, and it says we were created for Eden, yet we live in the valley of the shadow of death. Of course we ache. That's normal. I'm just kind of realizing, because like sadness and things can feel very isolating. And knowing, I mean, it's a part of being human here on earth.
Yep.
The secret to joy is to keep seeking God where we doubt he is. I think that's really interesting.
At the top right.
Have you guys read anything else by Anne Voskamp? That's the quote that she just quoted her.
I don't think so.
She's a very poetic author. What was her? I read her first like big book that was real popular.
1,000 Gifts.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I had that one, or I do have that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I read it. It's hard. It's a hard read because stylistically it's not exactly my go-to, but but also because of the path that she had to walk, like the story that she tells in that one is hard at the beginning, but it's beautiful though too once I adjusted to the writing style. And then kind of how do we cultivate joy in the midst of the sadness? And it's because of great gratitude, thankfulness, and that syncs us up with the heartbeat of heaven. I feel like it kind of goes back to that intentionality.
Yeah.
Like it's a conscious decision. I'm going to find something to be thankful for in the midst of whatever.
I mean, like we've talked about, joy is a choice, and choosing your heart and choosing to be grateful and choosing to accept sadness and feel sadness and let God work in sadness. I mean, it's all choice. And like you said, it's all intentionality of just being aware of how we're feeling, what we're doing in response to those feelings.
Love the idea that gratitude equals freedom. I think Mercedes talked about this. Gratitude equals freedom. A grateful heart is a heart that is free. An ungrateful heart is a heart that's bound. Gratitude leads to freedom. And then without gratitude, we do not have the capacity for joy. I love that too. It just opens our hearts to even feel the joy, like have that joy. Yeah. And I remember one time I was home at my mom's and she was having a Bible study with her people. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I was just in her bedroom, hanging out, reading some other stuff. But they got into it about that verse that talks about being thankful in everything. And one lady was like, I can't do that, whatever. Or I don't know. They were arguing about it. And I'm like, he doesn't say you have to be thankful for everything. But in everything, give thanks. Give thanks in all circumstances. Whatever version you have, I think it's always give thanks in that. So I don't think ultimately, if we have his perspective, we might be able to be thankful for different things, but not when you're in the midst of it. But when you're in the midst of it, you could still find something to give thanks for. If you choose to, right? If you allow yourself to.
I thought a lot about that verse when our baby was in the hospital and stuff, because it's like, no, I was not thankful for having my child in the hospital, but I was thankful my husband had a job that was understanding enough that he could take off with the other two and allow me time to be there. I was thankful we had a car and or working neighbors that could take me places or to her. And, I was thankful we had a medical system that knew how to take care of her. And, so, I mean, I thought about that a lot in that, because it was very easy to get stuck in the spiral of not being happy about my
Sure.
situation, not being happy walking into the hospital
Yeah.
to see the baby every day, not being happy to not have her home, but being happy, and I'm saying happy, but I mean
Yeah.
thankful and grateful that we did have a lot of things that made that much more tolerable than it would have been. But yeah, being thankful for that, no. At least not at the time, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's changing us. All of those experiences change us and grow us in some way if we allow it to. So hindsight is always 2020, right? Like, oh,
Sure.
if I had never walked through that, I might not be where I am today. And so
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that now. But yeah,
Right.
in the midst of it,
Yeah.
you can still, like, I love that you can think of some things to be able to
Sure.
be thankful for, even if in the midst of it you're not thankful for the
The
experience.
situation, right.
But like 20 years from now, you might, I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
You
Yeah.
look back on and say,
Well,
oh,
and
okay.
I mean, it shifted our family dynamics. It made him into a dad that he never was before we had, I mean, so there's a lot that just even in the short couple years hindsight that we have now,
Yeah.
it's like it took a catastrophic event like that, like
Yeah.
the changes would never have happened without
Mm-hmm.
something earth shattering like that.
Yeah. Wow. I love, and then, I mean, the last part of this chapter is talking about remember. And on 167, I loved when we remember his faithfulness in the past, it gives us the courage to believe that the one who says he never changes will be faithful in our present situation and in our future. Remembering fuels our joy even when surrounded by thieves that want to steal it. That's one of the descriptions of the enemy, is that he's coming to steal, kill, and destroy. And joy is something that he wants to take away.
I love where it talks in the next paragraph about take a moment and remember and write it down. Or even in your conversations. I know either sharing that story with somebody or with a family member, or just in my journal writing through, he's done this before. How many times has he had me before? How many times through those hard times, like you just said, good things have come out of really difficult situations. Why am I not trusting in this situation too? And I love how it fertilizes our hope. It just refuels us.
But and even that, writing it down, sharing your story, whatever, that creates intentionality. Intentionally slowing down to share, to journal, to do whatever, fertilizes our hope and makes it burgeon and bloom.
Yeah. I love at the bottom, it's just talking about joy. Defiant joy is being based solely on the victory of Jesus Christ and all that he has won. You are completely and utterly loved and cared for. In Christ, your life is inextinguishable, undefeatable, victorious. I love this line. Worry, fear, panic, and dread do not get to hold your heart hostage in their vice-like grip. Your heart is held safely in the hands of the faithful God, of your faithful God, who promises that a life of unending joy is your inheritance. It's coming. Jesus led the way. None of them get to have the final say. I love that. Because we might feel those things in the midst of those times, but we remember, no, like, you've lost. Like fear, anxiety, dread, all of those things. Like, you can have your little moment, but then you're done. Like, you don't have the victory. You don't have the final say of the situation, of my heart. No, my heart is held in the hands of a God who promises life and joy, and peace, and like all of it.
And I like when she says the unseen world is far more reliable anchor than the seen one. Because my tendency when things like that happen are to try to control things.
Yeah.
To try to control things, and that's trying to anchor me here in this world, not anchoring me in the unseen. Your trustworthy God holds you and all you love. And yeah, that's good.
So thankful we get to that we start to catch our downward spirals quicker and quicker. It's kind of what we talked about last time with like taking those thoughts. And once we start noticing them, we can notice them quicker and quicker. That's the Holy Spirit at work in us. So much joy in that alone. Yeah, just catching it sooner and being intentional about switching to thankfulness and remembrance and trust. Hindsight is 2020, but in the hard times, we can use that hindsight to encourage us for our future. God sees the whole journey and has so much good for us farther along our path. Yeah, we never know how he's going to use the situations that we have to walk through, how he's going to use that in our own lives and in your marriage, as you were said, like your families and people that you're, I mean, in this conversation, right? Like as we learn and hear how God has brought people through things, it increases our faith,
right?
Our understanding of who God is. I love that.
Krista, was it you last time you were talking about taking the thought and throwing it? I told my husband that this week, and he's been reminding me throughout the week, like, don't spiral, you know, it's not going to control you. Just go. It needs to leave. So I wanted to say thank you for that.
Nice.
That made me, those comments made me think of that. No, you don't get to spiral. It is okay. It is, that was such a good reminder this week.
And sometimes just saying it out loud, like, no, I'm not thinking that way. I'm not going down this path again.
Yeah.
Just saying it out loud, like, is enough of that intentionality. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
We notice it as soon as the Holy Spirit like brings it to our mind. Like, no, oh yeah, I'm not going down this path again. Yeah. It's the I believe, help my unbelief kind of a thing. Like, I know you're doing something, God. I don't see what it is, but I'm going to trust that you're doing something. So help me to see it somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And even just that shifts that perspective. Like it
does.
It shifts it. Throw it away. I used it with my daughter this week. So good. To throw it away. Love that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just a physical. I mean, the Bible is the one that says, take every thought captive under. I don't remember what the whole verse is, but it's just a physical way to be like, no, that's not the way I'm going to think right now. Or I'm using that. And that's what we're talking about in here. Choosing joy, choosing thankfulness. It's that intentional, okay, I'm going to stop. But also giving that sadness and grief and giving yourself a minute to feel the feelings. But then, I mean, Psalms is full of times when David feels the feels, right? Like he's like, why? But then constantly also, but I'm going to choose to wait on you, Lord, or, but my soul trusts in you, or, but like, why so downcast, O my soul? Talks to himself. He's like talking to himself. Why so downcast, O my soul? Put your hope in God. Like, put your trust in God.
Yeah.
We can feel the feels and tell God how we're really thinking about things. He can handle it. And then, okay, but I'm gonna try to trust you. I'm gonna find something today to be thankful for in the midst of this. I'm gonna choose to see your beauty somewhere today. Like intentionality and all that. So easy to say when things are good.
Yeah.
Put in practice in the moment, but good.
Oh, good.
You just share things like this with one another. It does so much. I agree.
Yeah.
When we have fellowship, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I'm reading right now The Relief of Imperfection. And I am like, wait, but we're not going to chat about this? Like I'm underlining, like I'm preparing for next week. But
I love it. Did you guys have anything else from chapter 10?
Nope.
All right. Chapter 11, on behalf of love. So we've talked about the connection between hope and joy. Now this one is a little more focused on love and joy. And I read this at my friend's house, so I think I have like one thing underlined. A little distracted, but that's okay.
Yeah, I really liked page 173. She said, we know we're commanded to love. What I'd like to point out is that one of the most marvelous ways we love is by choosing to live with joy. Our choices to pursue a joy-filled life have a snowball effect on those who inhabit our daily world. There's so many reasons for this. It makes us a delight to be around. Living with joy is the most enticing way to allure others to God. So, and like, I just thought, I mean, we all know people like that who really are just content with themselves and are joy filled. And I mean, they're a delight to be around. And it's like, gosh, you can see the light like exploding out of these people. It's like, how do I get some of that? You know, and that really points you to God. And I love that reminder that like we're commanded to love. One of the most marvelous ways we love is by choosing to live with joy. So we're making the choice, not for ourselves, not just for ourselves, but also for others.
I think, and we never know who sees that, like immediate family and the people in our daily interactions, but especially the three of us have channels that, and I know Mercedes and Amanda too in the comments have channels. Like, even if we're not talking about specifically Christian fiction or Christian nonfiction, like in the way that we talk and the way that we interact and the way that we go about our lives, you never know who's observing. And like my pastor, I listened to my service as I was driving today. And I was late getting into it, but he was saying how before he ever came to Christ, he remembers being in college and having like one of the rooms on his hall is where a group met to have a Bible study, and the door would be open and he would just walk past in the hallway and he just would take note because he's like, here's a group of people, all different backgrounds. It's not like a group that all looked the same or whatever. He's like, what are they doing in there? They don't have drinks. Like they're not, because he didn't they're not having a party. Like they're all in there, but they're laughing, they're having a good time. And it just stuck in his brain. And eventually like he realized, oh, they're like talking about the Bible. What on earth? And he's like, they're having fun. They're normal people. Like, and it's just something that stuck with him. And eventually he came to Christ, and he counts that as something that helped him to get to that point, because they made Jesus look appealing to him as somebody who didn't believe, but he saw this group of people having a good time, and it wasn't reliant on a party or drinks or all the other things that he normally was into. Like, we just never know who's on the outskirts of our life observing and seeing, and who might see us having a grateful heart in the midst of a tough situation that we just happen to talk about briefly on our channel or whatever, that down the road, God is going to use that to draw that person to him even more. Like, that's it's humbling. Like, and a good reminder to like, okay, then I need to be intentional about
Well, that's like this week in my vlogs, I've been daily vlogging, and I'm like, one day I was like, I am not going to complain today. Like, we haven't left the house in a week. It's frigid outside. Nobody's sleeping. I am not going to complain today.
I love it. Sharing the living water.
Sharing the living water.
And Kirsten loved the 4 degrees of love. Oh yeah.
Yes, I thought it was so interesting. The first degree is loving yourself for your own sake. Second degree is loving God for your own blessing. And then the third degree is loving God for God's own sake. But then the fourth degree is loving ourselves for God's sake. And I thought that was just so interesting, that even higher than loving God for God's sake is loving ourselves for God's sake. Everything he has made is good, including our own lives, our personalities. And above everything else, guard your heart, because from it flow the springs of life. Like, kind of like the whole, you can't have compassion for others without compassion for yourself. And it makes sense, but it seems so self-focused.
She adds a 5th one, loving others for God's sake.
My kiddo.
Yeah, I on 178 after the story of Debbie and her son, which broke my heart. This, I mean, I've walked through that sudden loss, but then so I can understand her kind of slipping into not wanting to leave her room and whatever. But then
Yeah.
her younger son coming in, I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's what snapped for her, that she had to still continue on live. But at the bottom of 178, quite often we cannot find reason enough to choose joy and pursue joy for ourselves. But perhaps we can find new strength when we realize how much it matters to God and to those around us.
Well, and I, like, as a stay-at-home mom and stuff, I have really seen how my mood sets the tone for our day, and very easily influences 3 other people's moods. And I mean, you see that when anybody you live with or whatever is upset, and how quickly it drains everybody.
Yeah.
And how choosing joy may not feel justified. It may not feel like something you even want to put out the energy to do, but it's so beneficial for yourself and everybody around you.
Yeah.
I liked how she was talking about this Dennis Prager quote. He said, happiness in any few people include happiness in any list of character traits or moral achievements, but happiness is both. With some exceptions, happy people make the world better and unhappy people make it worse. Again, just I mean, feel what you authentically feel, but also be intentional about where you're choosing to shift your gaze.
Yeah. I love this is true. Only God can lead us through those degrees of love. And we can have joy that he wants to lead us through them. We can have joy that he wants. Yeah. That's something that can bring us joy. Yep.
It says, perhaps baby steps are all that are possible for you to take right now. Each tentative foot moving forward in the hope that Jesus will meet you in your sorrow and breathe life and joy slowly but ever so surely back into your heart. That's okay. Like he'll meet you where you are.
Yeah.
If this book feels overwhelming, if joy feels insurmountable, just a baby step is all you need. And like, it's just so humbling to think, she says on page 181, our partnering with him and his Father's work was his source of joy. Like he passed on his authority to us, and that is what made him exuberant, that he was able to partner with us to do God's work, and that, like, that's just, so who am I to sit and wallow in the weather or like silly stuff.
And I love the references to Paul's writings, and like his joy was made complete because of the people that he was able to love and that loved him. And I mean, think about that in your own life when like when a kid comes and gives you a huge hug and just love you, mom, or whatever. Like it's just like, oh, or like when my nanny kids, the little boys, 4. And when he comes to give me a hug just because, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like that love does bring joy. Like when we realize that we're loved, not just by God, we know that, but when we physically get a affirmation of love from someone else, like it does add to our joy when we have that knowledge, and that we can bring that to other people. Like we know how that feels, knowing that we're loved and seen, and yeah. And even Paul wrote about it.
Yeah. And like kids, I feel like are such a good example of that, because they love without fear and they love without abandon, and they love because they haven't been tainted in the ways that we have. And I mean, we should and could love in that same way when we're, especially in regards to God. Because he won't leave us, forsake us, hurt us, whatever.
I had the one day this past week, we had horrible weather too, and the 4-year-old was sick for part of the week. So one of the parents stayed home with him so that they could keep him away from the baby. So I was with the baby. So the dad had stayed home that day, taken him outside to play in the snow for a few minutes, even though he wasn't 100% well yet, but still they needed to get outside. So they bundled up and went out in the snow, and something happened. He was mean to a neighbor or something, screaming stuff. So they came in and he was like screaming, crying, mad at his dad who's made them come inside. And the dad is like, I'm really disappointed in your behavior, blah, 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 blah. I'm hearing this from the other room. And the little boy's like crying. He's like, but do you still love me, Dad? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
We do that with the Lord. Like, we mess up and we might get disciplined in different ways, but we're like, but do you still love me? I'm just like, oh my gosh. Dad's like, yes, I'm angry, but I love you with all of my heart. Yeah. It was just such a precious conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've had that conversation with God before.
Absolutely.
We had a child choose to cut bangs this week.
Oh.
And my reaction to that was something I really had to temper, because we have explicitly talked, we've read books about characters who have done that. We've had explicit conversations about how it's not the right thing. And there are bangs that are about right here. And so I still don't know what to do, but expressing that, and thinking through, like, putting myself in her shoes, how would I want to be talked to, after that? And also, like, how to express my disappointment and frustration with her, keeping it cushioned with the fact that it's just hair, it'll grow. I love her beyond that, but like, girl. And she lied about it because I put her hair up in a ponytail and I was like, did you cut your hair? And she was like, no. And her little sister starts smiling real big. And so then I was like, go to the bathroom and look at your face. And so she goes and she's like, I have no idea how that happened.
Oh no.
And so then I'm like, excuse me. And my younger child is just giggling. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you the opportunity here to fess up. Did you cut your hair? Yeah.
Oh man, bless.
We haven't hit that phase yet. They still tell themselves.
I thought we were beyond that with this child.
Oh, that's sweet, Amanda.
My dog, I had a dog that I got in college, and he was my dog until he died. And he would always somehow he would always know and just like snuggle up when I was upset about anything. He had some sort of radar that was just, he was just a sweet boy.
Mm.
Not that I'm comparing my dog to your child, but you know what I mean. That random love from somebody.
I love it.
Is good.
I have that same thing with my son. My son also has autism, my 5-year-old, and he will not express much of it. But he just comes up and just sits right next to you and just pushes into you. Like he won't say anything. He won't, nothing verbally, but just knows mom needs a little extra right now.
That's sweet. I love that. All right. The last lines I love. Know God that you might love him for himself. Agree with him that you are worthy of love yourself. Join him in loving others as a way to love Jesus back. And you will know boundless joy when you do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so sweet. No words, just hugs. Just Aw. And then anything else from love chapter? I think we can.
No, I don't think so.
So we move on to the last chapter. Oh, I don't know how to say that Hawaiian word.
Yeah, me either.
So I will not. But
I listened to the audiobook for this one and I still couldn't tell you. I heard it. I was like, I need to remember that. No, it's gone.
It's gone. This was just not pleasant to read.
No.
I was
I mean-
wondering. Yeah.
It was just painful.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely goes deep into tough sorrow, like
Mhm.
grief. And specifically, I was thinking about you when she was talking about miscarriage.
Yeah.
Oof.
But it says, sometimes I've wondered, how can God be so joyful in the face of all the heartbreak in the world? The answer is because he sees the great restoration as if it were already here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, we obviously don't see that. We don't have that perspective, and we have to accept that. Like, we can fight against it, but it's not
Mhm.
going to help us. Yeah, Mercedes said, I know it means see you later, which is true.
Oh, that we.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like, talking about death is not a goodbye, it's a see you later.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just so hard to wrap our human earthly brains around.
Yeah. And I think, I'm someone who loves to read books about grief, and I love shows that make me cry, shows and books that make me cry, because sometimes I just need the tears to get out.
Yep.
So I'm happy to read things that make me cry because it just helps me to release things that I know I've been holding on to. And it's so universal. Like, nobody is exempt
Nobody's safe from it. Yeah.
from loss of lots of different kinds, but especially, we're humans. Like, we're in mortal bodies. We're going to everybody has a beginning and an end, and we don't know when that's going to be. And sometimes it's younger than we expect, and sometimes we get to watch our loved ones go till ripe old ages, right? Like, and everything in between, and you just never know. And I think I've had to grapple with this because with my dad and my sister and my niece, they were so sudden, and there was no like processing ahead of time. It was all processed after. There was no saying goodbye. There was no preparation. It just, like, in the blink of an eye, happened. And I think the sentence she says on 194, grief attacks our belief in the goodness of God. I'm like, yeah, I've lived that. Where I have to evaluate that again. Like, do I believe God is good? Like, this is not a situation that I see that right in the moment. And now, it's 20 whatever years later, and I could see how God was moving even in the death of my dad. But, like, it took a long few years to, like, grapple with that. And so
your conversation last week about that, and like having to question all those things, and questioning those things, and now your brother and everything, it's like you've got those answers, and it doesn't make it easy,
right,
but it makes it less earth-shattering, less questioning everything.
Yeah. And I love in the next paragraph, she says, loss does not define us. There has been gain upon gain as well. Death does not win. It's actually the doorway to resurrection. And Mercedes just put that quote too. Yeah. And I know it's like, it's so hard sometimes to be heavenly minded when we're in the midst of earthly things happening, right? Like, it's hard to remember. This is just a blink in the eye of eternity. And I have a different perspective. Like, I know for some people it's really comforting to think of their loved ones who have passed, that they're looking down on you. And I'm like, nah, my dad is dancing at the feet of Jesus, and he's in eternity. And our life is like a blink, right? Like, what we're living right now is so quick. And there's no sadness and despair in heaven. So I don't feel like he's looking down here, seeing how sad we were during all. I don't know, like, that just was never something that gave me comfort. In my mind, it's like, we're a blink of an eye. Like, ultimately, in the light of eternity, what I'm experiencing is a blip. Like, Like it's so short. And so, yeah, when we look at the resurrection, like there is victory, there is hope, there is so much more on the other end of this life that we get
Right.
so caught up in everything we're going through now. And that's okay. It's feel the things, ask the questions, work through all the stuff, but also remember this is just a moment
Mhm.
of eternity.
And this is the least good moment. I mean,
right. Yeah.
we're on earth where Satan dwells. Like we
Yeah.
are in the least good moment of our lives.
And so how amazing that we can have joy in the midst of this, right? Because yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad used to always say, like when we would come home from school moaning about this, that, or the other,
Sure.
whether it's homework or relationship stuff or friendship, girl drama, whatever, my dad would be like, in the light of eternity, does it really matter? And we're like, shut up, Dad. Like,
I know.
I want to hear that. But now I love that phrase, like, in the light of eternity, does this really matter?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the answer is yes, and you got to work through it. Or maybe the answer is like, oh no, this is just like a passing thing I won't remember in 2 weeks or whatever. Like sometimes things do matter for that long haul, but sometimes it's just, okay, I just need to take a breath. Like
Yeah.
in the light of eternity, it doesn't matter that I have one more day in the icy weather. Right?
Yeah. Right.
But we let some of that like become bigger than it needs to be in our mind. And now looking back, I appreciate that that's a phrase that comes to my mind a lot because Dad used to say it all the time when I was in high school.
Well, and we just don't know any different. We haven't
Right.
experienced eternity. We haven't experienced
Right.
heaven. So it feels, but I mean, looking back, so my oldest daughter, she was a very slow weight gainer baby. Even, I mean, she's still just very petite. And so the doctors gave me so much hardship about it. And we had to do all these tests, all these things to make sure she was okay. And as a first time mom, I was like, oh my gosh, it was so stressful. And then now my fourth daughter is also a very slow gainer. And the perspective I have now after having seen that I have a perfectly healthy child, that this is just the way God made them, my perspective is so different. I mean, whatever. And I think about one day being in heaven and being like, gosh, like, because now I look back and I think, gosh, I let that steal so much joy from her babyhood. And just thinking when we get to heaven, like, gosh, I let silly stuff steal so much joy. But you don't know any different, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And hindsight's 2020. But I try to think of that sometimes, of even like not even thinking about when I get to heaven, but like, in 5 years, I'll look back and be done raising babies and think, gosh,
Yeah.
And she asked in this book at one point, what are the first 3 things you want to do when you get to heaven? And I thought that was so interesting. It may be asking God why on a handful of things. It may be seeing loved ones. It may be like, I just thought I've never thought about that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm also of the belief that all the things I think I'm going to want answers to, I won't care about once I'm there.
Oh yeah. I know. I definitely, like, especially with all the baby stuff and the unhealthiness and all of that kind of stuff. I've thought, gosh, I have a list. I have a list for you, God, but then I think, once I'm there, it'll all make sense.
Yeah.
It'll, I don't even know that I'll need to ask why or that I'll care. Because it'll all be restored.
Yeah. Huh. And I mean, she does talk about, like, death is going to happen. But it's unimaginable. And it does like hurt. And you don't want to hear they're in a better place or it was God's will or any other kind of platitudes that people offer trying to be
supportive,
comforting.
Yeah.
You just want to like punch all of those people in the face. I will tell you, like we've heard it all, but we understand. Like my mom was so good about helping us to understand these people they don't know any better. They're just trying to offer their comfort in the best way that they know, and take it with a grain of salt. Like if it's not what you need to hear, just let it go in and out. Just thank them for being there and trying to offer their comfort. But I mean, she says it hurts. Death hurts when you lose somebody. It hurts. You can grieve it. It's a goodbye that must be grieved. You can't skip over it lightly. But also then turning. While we miss them, we will be forever changed by our loss. In the missing and the aching and the desperate pain, we will not give in to devastation. We're called to live and eventually, miraculously, to live with joy. And I love that because I like feel the feels, but know that it's not a forever, and you will be forever changed because of it. But that desperate pain and that ache is not going to take over. Like eventually, and it is a miracle. It's something that God does in us that allows us to find that joy again. Yeah, man, I couldn't find joy when my dad took his own life. I was only 13. Wow. Generational chain breaker. I love that. And having just lost my grandpa, can't wait to be with him again in heaven and see him. Yeah. I get that too. Jordan never had a day of his life without pain here, my brother. So to know that he's pain-free now, oof. It's so hard. Like, but I wouldn't wish him back. I wouldn't wish him back here. Like, I wouldn't take that away from him. I just will be there soon enough.
Yeah.
We're having tantrums out there, and I got my dog here, and she's
it's okay.
Happy about it.
Yeah, this was a heavy way to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love my visible world may scream loss, but the victory cannot and will not be held back. And because of that, because life wins and has won already, because of all Jesus has won for us, I, like you, can be defiantly joyful. I will choose it. Join me. A hui ho.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, it was a hard one to end on, but real.
That's life. Life is so hard. And just like we were talking about, this is the hard part. Once we get to heaven, smooth sailing.
Yeah. Oh, what a day that will be. What a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. That's a good old hymn. I love it. Jess, I feel like we've been talking a lot and not leaving space for you.
No. My brain has been
that's okay.
With some struggles.
That's okay.
My wonderful husband is
holding down the
taking
fort.
care of all that right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, holding down the fort. Just barely, it sounds like.
Oh.
No.
So what do you guys think you'll rate this one overall?
I think a solid 4.
I would say so too. I really liked the middle chapters the most. I think those were the most impactful on me. This week's chapters were more, last week's. These chapters, I don't know, ending with the grief was I wanted like a send off. I wanted a nice little chapter at the end to send us off a little bit. But
what's that last line? She's like, ahoy hoy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, great. Although I did like these daily prayers.
Yeah.
I think some of them were in the book.
They
were the same, just now put all together at the back. Yeah, I think I'm a solid 4 on this one too.
It's interesting. I wonder what I would have rated it if I would have read it independently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely felt really convicted at times, and it makes me think about things a little bit differently.
I love it. This is 4 stars, but the discussion was top tier.
Yes.
I love it. Good. You are so welcome, guys. Thank you for participating. Jess, what do you think you'll rate it?
4.
4 for you too.
Yeah.
I didn't read the book, but now I want to. Good. Looking forward to the next one. I did a video where I say what they all are. The next one will be May. And I think that one is The Case for Christ or Whisper. I can't remember which one
I
comes
think
first.
it's Whisper.
Whisper comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get it. I'll show you. I have them all up here. I should have double checked that before, but so it's Whisper by Mark Batterson, How to Hear the Voice of God. So that will be in May. I don't know how I'll break it up yet. I haven't paid attention to There's 11 chapters, so we might just do 3 weeks in May too. I'll have to look and see, because we'll see. The print is a little smaller in this one.
Oh yeah.
So we might do 3 chapters instead of 4. Oh no, 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, I don't know.
Just have a shorter week.
Tuned. In the middle of April, I will set that up. I'll have a video and share it and all that. But yeah, talking about Hear the Voice of God. I've not read anything by this author yet, but he wrote the Circle Maker book about prayer. And he has a few other books. Unashamed. Oh no, that's Praise. Oh yeah. I don't know if his other books are listed in here. No, they're not. But I've heard that it's good. And I went to his church and I got this for free on the day that I went. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, really? I was having a hard time finding it.
So he's in DC area. And I will have, you guys are welcome to come back too. I think I have a couple others that said maybe for that one or not. I don't remember. But I'll be tracking down people. So Mercedes, if you want to join me on screen, Amanda, you guys are welcome too. I love
Sign me up. I'll be here.
Different people. Yeah, cool.
Oh, it's only $8.99 right now in paperback on Amazon.
There you go. Less than $10.
Less than $10.
So that'll be May. Take a couple. Middle grade March is next month, and then April is like relaxing after middle grade March.
Yeah.
We'll do this. So I'll do it quarterly. The middle month of each quarter will be a read along. What do you guys have coming up next on your channels?
I'm taking a little woosah from Deck TBR on, but end of the month content, I feel like, is always my March TBR is coming out soon. I just went to the library book sale this week and did some damage. So there's going to be a haul coming soon, couple hauls coming soon.
Nice.
So
nice. How about you, Jess?
I have no idea. I'm still doing my January wrap up. I'm editing that right now.
Nice.
So that'll be coming
So
out.
that'll come out soon. Yeah.
Life has been lifing the last few weeks.
Hey,
that is for
you
sure.
Do what's best for you. And
yep.
That's fine.
Yes.
But yeah. Thank you guys all for joining in. We have
Thank
30
you.
people here now.
Yay.
Especially to Jess and Chloe for
Yeah,
joining
thank
in.
you.
Amanda said it's been tough for the little man lately to join on screen, but that's okay. Be in the chat. I love it. Oh, you're so welcome,
Yeah,
Kirsten. I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for being here.
Yes.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Hello, little ladies.
As soon as I like film that TBR options video, I'm like, I just want to read these books now. I don't care about anything else. But I have my Patreon book club book I need to read. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get these. Thankfully, it's coming at the end of the week. Is middle grade March. Hi, cutesy patootsy.
They all have been double bowing it.
I love it.
After showers, they pick bows and
cute.
They're very fancy. They fancify before bed. Oh, here comes third one.
I love it. Hi, friends.
Do you
Hi,
miss
girlies.
Krista? They talk about you a lot.
That's so sweet.
Say hi real quick.
You guys are the sweetest.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Oh, hello. I love your bows, girls. So pretty.
This is our little 3-pound baby right here. So God works in crazy ways.
I love it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.